As good as
I do like that.
Yeah.
Refreshing.
Michelob.
Michelob.
Ultras. Yeah. Might not be quite as well. Like these have 3 carbs.
Yeah.
And the Michelob Ultras, I think, have
2.5.
2.5.
2.5. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
And
it's
90
not.
calories.
Yeah.
So it's not a big difference.
And just depending, some of them are 2.4, 2.5. It's weird, you know.
Yeah. All right.
I'm Linnell, and he's my brother from another mother.
I'm Rob, and she's my sister from the same mister.
Well, hello, Linnell.
Hello, Rob.
How are you doing?
I'm great. It seems like deja vu.
It seems like just half an hour ago we were here recording.
Back-to-back episodes.
Back-to-back episodes. But we're not releasing them back-to-back.
No.
We're going to wait a week or two so that we don't
Yeah.
saturate the market.
Oh, God. We don't want to overload.
We don't want to overload nobody. So, we had a great episode with your daughter and her sister. And
that is not my daughter.
If you haven't listened to the episode, go and listen to it.
Go do it.
But Linnell's daughter, Sarah, was here, and Sarah's half-sister, Amber, was with her, and we had a great raucous time.
With our 10th episode.
With our 10th episode. That was a
Woohoo.
big one. And so now this is our 11th
We've come a
episode.
long way, baby.
We've come a long, just since November.
I know.
And like I said, if it hadn't been for 2 or 3 that I forgot to record, we'd be already on 13 or something.
Yeah. Let's
But
not
that
dwell
would've-
on
that
it.
would've made
I mean,
the
I can
10th
dwell
one.
on it if you want
Oh,
to.
I know. I know you can. But that would have made the 10th
In fact, I
episode
would love
boring.
to.
Just, because it was a few episodes ago. And
Yeah.
I mean, not that any of our episodes are boring. It just wouldn't have
No.
been as special.
Right. Wouldn't have been special. None
This
of our
week
episodes
on
are boring.
On a very special episode of Are We Really Related?
To be concluded.
To be concluded.
Concluded or continued?
Continued, concluded. Who knows?
Who knows? So now,
we're waiting on a buddy of mine, another Rob, and he has some half siblings also. And I know a little bit of his story, but I'm going to wait until he's here and let him explain it all.
okay.
I think he'll do a better job of explaining it than I could.
Yeah.
So
But we know you love to talk.
I do love to quite a bit.
I
Even
got
if
to
other
bust your
people are
chops.
talking.
I know. Yeah. No, it'll be great.
So
We can't wait.
We're just waiting on him, and when he gets here, we will continue. But is there anything else that we need to talk about? Well, we've already talked about the last week, so
Yeah.
it's not like we have this.
So you got to
week
listen to
talk.
episode 10
You've got to
because you
listen to
can't miss
episode
things.
10, or else you'll be out of order. You'll
Yeah.
be all discombobulated.
You won't understand anything
Yeah.
that's going on with us.
Nobody wants to be discombobulated. Just get yourself back to combobulated.
Right. Yeah. So then I guess next weekend we'll be taking off kind of a
Well,
hiatus because it's Father's Day weekend coming up.
And Enos and I are going to be out of town.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's him.
that's him. All right, let's see how this is working. Yeah, it's picking up now.
Picking up.
And Robert,
Laying
just
it
go ahead
down?
and from where you are, just give us a little test.
I don't know. What do you want me to? You're gonna ask me a question?
So
You
we're
say something,
you'll have to be
record.
closer.
Okay.
How about you sit over here by this mic, and I'll sit over here, and we're always butting heads anyway. So I'll sit over here, and
Yeah, that'll work.
we can both get
Okay.
closer to the mic.
You're in my
Okay.
personal space.
Deal with it.
I have children. I have no personal space
Right, exactly.
whatsoever.
You don't when you
I
have
mean,
children,
I
I know.
I would love to have personal
Oh
space,
yeah,
but
you'll get it back later when they leave the house.
yeah, maybe. You think it ends when they turn 18.
I don't know. Mine's
mean,
going to be 30 this year, so yeah.
Our oldest is 28, and
Okay.
we had to spend a bunch of money to help him move into his new apartment.
All right. Well, our guest with us today is Robert Wright. Is it okay if I say your
Robert?
full name?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, don't mind.
And
Or we can beep it out.
It's not.
You're not hiding from anybody, right?
There are so many Robert Wrights that
Yeah,
they
yeah.
couldn't
Exactly,
find me
exactly.
anyway, you know?
Right.
I mean, there's like 15 in Christiansburg alone.
Oh, wow.
The perfect name to pick
Yeah.
for witness protection.
Exactly.
If you're trying to hide somebody in plain
What's your
sight.
name? Robert Wright?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, another one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
We've got like 10 on the list.
Yeah, exactly.
And Robert, you're a bass player?
I am a bass player.
All right.
I'm a-
Okay, cool.
Well, I try to be. So,
All right.
yep. Currently, I'm not really playing with anybody or doing anything, but hopefully that'll turn around here soon.
Yeah.
So,
And
Now-
we met
That's what I
from
was going to ask how y'all met.
yeah, we met because Chad wanted to start a band, and I'd posted in the Roanoke Music, one of the Roanoke Music pages, that I just wanted to find somebody to jam with,
Sure.
just to play. I wasn't looking for a band, and then Chad contacted me and said, "Well, you said you weren't looking for a band, but I hope you'll change your mind, because you know." And so we got together, and I'm like, I just want to play, and if it turns out into something that we go in front of an audience at a bar or something and play, that's great.
Right.
If it doesn't and we just jam together, that's fine with me too.
it's just so hard getting people, you know, 5 people working around like 5 people's schedules anymore. You know?
Yeah.
Especially when we're all older, and it's just really hard. You know, when you're in your teens or your 20s, it's a lot easier to say, "Fuck it, I'm going
Yeah.
to band practice."
Exactly.
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 Yeah.
But when you gotta, you know, mow the grass or whatever,
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm just tired. I just
Yeah.
don't want to.
yeah, exactly.
That's a lot of it nowadays.
And
Tired.
the funny thing about Chad, I met Chad because I had a bass for sale. Anyway, him and I did a trade, bass for guitar, and I know Chad's brother-in-law. He used to work with my wife, and I've known him for like 15 years, which was so
Okay.
crazy. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Once we made that connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
And I mean that first practice we had, I thought went pretty well. Amy was singing great.
Yeah.
And Doug on the drums. He's played for a long time.
yeah.
So did it just that nobody's schedules could work out? What happened with? Is
Well,
that basically?
I had the carpal tunnel
Oh.
surgery, and
Right.
I mean we'd already gone a couple of like months by that point where we hadn't been able to get people
Just
together.
scheduling mostly.
Yeah.
You know, and that's always the problem.
Yeah, and
Anymore.
Chad and I have gotten together a couple of times, you know, just playing acoustic guitars because we were thinking about doing like an acoustic guitar duo. But he still considers himself more of a natural bass player, so
Yeah.
you know he's not quite there with wanting to play guitar yet. So I you know, it's just like I said, my thing is I just want to play.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I
whatever
get
the
that.
circumstances.
Well, that's, you know, my thing is I say that I just want to play, but in my old age, I have become more, my wife says difficult, but discerning about what I want to do. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I could be playing with a band right now and have a gig tonight, but I don't like the music they play. And it's,
Yeah.
you know,
you gotta like what you're playing.
exactly,
Yeah.
because then it seems like work. And,
Right,
and
right.
you know, if I don't want to be in a country band,
Yeah.
but if I wanted to just play and be in a band, that'd be fine. But I have to, you know,
You have
just
to
gotta
feel
check
the
some.
music.
You have to
Yeah, I
feel
gotta
it.
feel
Yep,
it. Yeah,
exactly.
and that's kind of my biggest hang up.
I like to listen to all genres of music. There's really nothing other than gospel that I don't want to listen to. But when it comes to playing, I'm more in that Americana singer-songwriter kind of
Yeah.
style of playing, you know, James Taylor or Tyler Childers, who's kind of country but kind of Americana and stuff like that. And when I write music, it's in that same genre. I couldn't write a rock and roll song to save my life. I just don't know how to do it.
I mean, I've even played bass in a Pentecostal church.
Okay.
So, I mean, I like that boom, 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 boom kind of thumping, but modern country just is
Yeah.
awful. It's
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
And I can't do it. I
Yeah.
just can't
Yeah.
do it.
Agreed there. So we've talked about branching out and talking to local musicians, but the reason we have you here today is because you have kind of a similar situation. You've got some half siblings out there.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
My dad had 2 daughters, and my mom had 1 daughter and 4 sons. So,
Blended family.
yeah. So they had me late in life. My mom was 42. My dad was 50. By the time I came along, my closest sibling was my sister. She was 18 when I was born. But I had one brother that I did not meet until I was 40 years old because he was mad at my mom for that long. And
Wow.
it took him that long to come around.
I've had a mom. I know what it's like
Yeah.
to be mad at a mom for
Yeah.
a while.
That's a grudge.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, so I didn't meet my one brother until I was 40 years old, and that was really weird.
You knew of him, but he
I-
just
And
didn't
how
come
old
around.
was he? So you were 40. How old was he? 60?
66 or
Dang.
65.
All those years. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And then after I met him, I tried to be close to him, but
Right.
it was just very difficult because I didn't realize how much he truly hated our mother. And-
So it's
They put
same,
a damper
same,
on Christmas a little bit.
yeah,
so the same mother. You had the same,
same mother. Yeah, we had the
Okay.
same mother.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. His name was Robert too. I was named after my dad, and so he got mad at my mom. One of his things he was just completely mad about is because I named her other son Robert, and he said it was an insult to him to name me Robert because he was already.
I mean, and although you had nothing to do with it, so
Right.
don't get me wrong. I kind of see.
I
his
didn't
point.
choose my own name. Why are you mad at me? You know, like
But I
Yeah.
kind of see his point
Yeah.
about
Like,
why he
you can call
resented
me
his
anything
mom.
you want.
yeah. I mean, but you can't be mad at me. 'Cause
No, absolutely
and,
not.
and that's kind of what we had that discussion one day, and I'm like, I've tried for like 6 months to be close, and when somebody comes at you with that, you're like, yeah, screw it. I'm
Right.
just done.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
a certain point where it's
Yeah.
just like
Well-
that's a lot of effort and not getting much back in return.
Well,
Yeah.
we had that situation with our sisters. They didn't really want to meet me because
I-
almost like they held it against me that I was born. You
Yeah,
know, and
yeah.
I'm like, I can't help who put me here.
Yeah,
you know?
in their eyes, it was proof that our father
Was
wasn't this
perfect.
shining
Yeah.
prince that they always had in their mind, even
Yeah.
though they would deny it. I think they would intellectually understand that our father wasn't perfect, but now here's proof that he really wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
I think for me, it was like from the time that she sent me the email introducing herself and laying out the bombshell.
We're related.
I could not imagine not wanting to at least meet her and finding out if she's an asshole. Or
Yeah,
not.
exactly.
Well, I am,
Yeah.
but I mean,
Well, she hit it well
yeah,
at first.
for a good
Most
while.
people do. They try. I mean, yeah.
She definitely had her best foot forward that day. No,
I'm
I
getting a
kid.
brother. I better act right.
And then I'll
And
be the
then-
bratty little sister.
Yeah.
So, do you get along with any of your siblings?
I only got along, ironically, with the oldest one. Like, he was the only one that didn't have a problem with me.
And this is your mom?
My
y'all have
mom's
this-
children,
moms.
of
Okay.
my mom's children.
Your
So,
mom's children.
so him and I were really close. I mean, he was in my life, my whole life.
Yeah.
The other two brothers were estranged from my mom, and then we had a brother that died before I was born in like 1969. So, with my dad's daughters, it was the same way. They had this idea that, and so did my brothers, and that's part of the reason why they were mad at my mom, is they both had this idea that my mom and dad were having this long time toward affair while she was still married to their dad. And in their mind, she left their dad for my dad. But it wasn't really like that at all. But that was one of their
That's
big
what they
problems.
chose to believe.
Yeah, that's what they chose to
No.
believe. And then I came along. I was unexpected. Like I said, my mom was 42. Yeah.
I
She was
cannot
like, wow.
fucking believe this.
Yeah.
But I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
Yes,
Robert, what did you do to me?
But she actually found out she was going to get her. My dad was a truck driver. So their plan was that she was going to go on the road with him, be his driving partner. So she went to get her CDL, and she had to take a physical. And when she took the physical, she found out she's pregnant. And I was like, well, I kind of blew that for them. But it's all good. I mean,
You're just causing problems.
I'm
I
left
did,
and right.
and, and I have, honestly, like, I've grown up with a almost like a complex. Like, seriously, I'm the problem for so many reasons, So, I don't know,
Is that chair comfortable?
Oh yeah, it's
You
fine.
need to let it go, then,
it
Robert.
wears-
You can let that go here in this studio. Just let all that go.
This is where you.
This is the therapy that you're going to receive.
So, and then my dad's two daughters, I've only met both of them. I met one of them one time in my life, and the other one twice in my life.
I mean, it's almost like you'd have more in common with their kids if they had any.
I do. Well,
Yeah.
see, that's what's ironic is my one brother, Rick, he lives in Chicago.
We're calling you out, Rick.
Yeah, well, I doubt he's
Chicago
listening.
Rick.
Yeah, I
The
doubt
only
he's
one
listening.
there in
Hey,
Chicago.
you never know.
We could do a whole episode on him alone. I mean,
We might.
there's a lot to unpack with him. But his oldest daughter reached out to me kind of after my mom passed away, and she's like, I've really didn't know. She didn't even know that Rick, my brother, was her dad until she went to get her license, and she had to provide her birth certificate, and it wasn't the name on as her last name. So she didn't really know.
Let me do a. I'm testing out sound effects today, Robert.
great.
Sorry.
She just downloaded that sound effects thing, and she's just getting to where she knows how to press the button.
You gotta have timing. It's all about timing.
Exactly.
When you have to say, "Excuse me,
Yeah, hold
just
on,
a minute," it doesn't quite.
Well, I didn't want to scare him,
So we're actually closer in age, and
Yeah.
we've gotten close over the last year or so. So it's kind of like having a sister. in a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like,
Sure.
yeah.
I guess
having-
she's actually your niece.
she's actually my
Yeah.
niece. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's my half niece. So
Well, that's how I grew up because of being adopted. My mom was 43, my dad was in his 50s, and he was a truck driver also, by the way. But so
Yeah,
my
they-
sister
you can't
was
keep truck
17 when I was born. You can't trust a truck driver. No. But she was 17, and so we didn't have anything in common. But her kids and I grew up together.
Yeah.
Like I'm their aunt, but we're more like brother and sister.
yeah, exactly.
And Billy's a hoot.
Oh, Billy is a hoot. My nephew. Yeah, we love Billy.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces in my family that some of them don't move at all, but
Right.
there's a lot of components.
There's a lot of idle pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Like your tree has branches, but then it like a seedling make another tree.
those branches are chopped off violently. I mean, like the samurai sword.
It's a family tree, but it's been through a hurricane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, my dad's daughters, I talked to one of my other nieces, my sister's daughter, regularly, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I've asked her, I was like, will your mom talk to me? She's like, no. Like,
Really?
I've tried to call her. She doesn't answer the phone or hangs up or whatever. And it's kind of the same thing. I didn't have anything to do with this. Like,
Right.
why are you holding
Your mom stole
Yeah.
their dad from their mom,
Yeah.
or something
And it's
like
all
that.
your fault.
And like, so why are you mad at me? I was
Right.
an innocent bystander in all of it.
I mean,
you know?
even if that were the case, which, as you said, it wasn't the case. That's not how it happened. But even if it were the case, how is that
It's
any
still
of
not
your
your
fault?
fault. Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, so
Now, was it the case that? And I'm just asking, like they were all ignored or something?
well, that's part of the problem
Or they
too with
think
my
they
dad's
were?
with my dad's daughters is him and their mother actually split up when they were really young. So I think part of it too was like he was in my life and not in
Yeah,
theirs,
yeah.
and they resented that.
And again, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
But
Right.
he tried to be in their
Sure.
life as much as he could. My dad was an interesting character, and I'm really into genealogy.
Okay.
My wife and I, we've done most of our family trees.
Now, is that where you rub lamps? And make
Yeah, and then you ask the genie to tell you stuff about your family.
I'm
Hey,
surprised.
it could be as accurate as anything else.
I'm
you know?
surprised there's not a genealogy company that's
Exactly.
that's using a lab.
You talk to Barbara Eden, you know.
But you're both into it. You and your
Yeah,
wife.
so like my dad, we found records of like where everybody lived or whatever. My dad was like off the grid for like 40 years. So
wow.
I don't know where he was. I don't know where he was.
Yeah.
Well, I did the ancestry thing because we were talking on an earlier podcast about we probably should check and see if there are more of us out there.
Yeah.
Because our
From
dad,
our dad, yeah.
you know, he
Story about that.
he was
too.
a rambler, you know. But as it looks right now, there aren't any more of us, which may be for the best.
Well, I did the ancestry DNA, and on so like it tells you people you're related to who have also done it.
Mm-hmm.
My top 2 people that I'm related to, they are listed as first cousins, but they mathematically, if you figure out the genes and all that crap, they could both be other half niece and nephew,
Ah.
which would mean my dad had
Had other
another
kids.
child that was unaccounted for.
Well, have you tried reaching out to him?
I have tried, and through Ancestry, through Facebook, they have pretty common names.
Yeah.
I mean, I got banned from Facebook for a week for spam because I sent a message to everybody by this lady's name,
Right.
and they're like I get a
They're like,
Facebook
"What is
notification
that?"
like we suspended your account for 7 days.
They're like, we are
spam."
not ancestry. We're not putting up with this.
No,
Maybe if you hadn't signed every one of them as Nigerian prince.
Yeah, exactly. So I've reached out to them both because I have asked all my first cousins if they know who these people are, and none of them know.
Oh.
Like none of my first cousins, second cousins have ever heard of these people.
Okay.
And so what's interesting is like they are like 1 and 2. The third person that I match is actually my half nephew, but he shows on Ancestry as a first cousin. So that's what makes me think that they may be half niece and nephew too.
Right,
you know?
right. Yeah.
Well,
So-
Ancestry isn't real good about understanding those half relationships.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're going on gene count, basically, and making a, well, if you're in this count, statistically, you're first cousin.
Exactly.
Or something like that. So
okay.
You know,
Maybe
my
I
wife.
need to do mine and
But-
my DNA for that.
But now I will say, I am not going to give an endorsement to Ancestry because I sent in my test. They gave me the results. They told me, you know, what areas of Europe I was from. It's really funny because the family lore, since I was a kid, was that our grandfather was like quarter Cherokee because his father. There was Indian blood in us.
I think it's every family has
Yeah.
that.
In America.
I mean, you know, like
But-
yeah.
But then when Robin and Uncle Bill did Ancestry,
Uh-huh.
it came back no indigenous American blood whatsoever. It's all
Really?
European. And Robin's was that way, and it's the same with mine. I'm like, myth busted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. And
I might have to bleep that out. I wonder if I'll
Yeah.
for using that.
that happened in my family too because my grandma always claimed to be Cherokee.
yeah.
And
This is so weird. It
when I
happens
had
in
when I had the
everybody's
ancestry. Sorry.
family.
Holy
you're
shit.
fine.
Technical difficulties. No, I mean, you're right.
Let me just hold the mic.
There you go.
I do
Oh,
need a
right,
better.
perfect.
There you
But
go.
let me turn this towards you.
Okay.
There we go.
It's real
okay.
close.
Yeah, it's real
Yeah.
close. Don't lean forward at all.
I'll not move.
It's pointed right at your boob.
So in my family, my grandma was supposed to be a quarter or a half Native American, and when I did it, there's none
Yeah.
at all.
I know that happened with my adopted dad. I mean, he even looks like he could be Cherokee, you know, and the high jaws.
Yep,
and
that's the way
the
my grandma
reddish
was.
Brown skin. And then when his granddaughter did Ancestries, or maybe 23andMe. I don't know which one, and I don't know who we can say on here, but
Doesn't matter.
she
just
texted
beep
me
it
and
every
was like, I had no, Native American background, no blood, and I was like, well, that's interesting. Does it fade out after, I don't know.
You are old.
I meant, like, if
Maybe
he
it's
was a
just-
quarter, maybe it
Yeah.
just,
Well,
trickled
there's-
out of the blood.
Well, there's a percentage thing. Like if you're like 1%, it's a great grandparent. Or if you're like
Right.
7%, it's a great grandparent. Like there's a yeah, you
formula and
yeah, you can figure sort of how, like where it came
Where it
from.
came
Where
from,
yeah.
Unless
Yeah.
there's zero.
Unless there's zero.
You don't have anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And then I was like, well, maybe you're not really our granddaughter.
Yeah.
The granddaughter.
Exactly.
You're
Maybe
the
you need to
outcast.
check yourself.
But yeah, so I thought about doing the other DNA test and see
Right.
what happens
Well,
when I do it.
My problem with Ancestry is it gives you some good information, and then from that point on, you start getting all these notifications. You've got a hint.
Yes.
Click
Oh,
on
yeah.
this to go
Yeah.
into your hint. And you go into the hint, and it'll even show you, here's some interesting information. If you want to add this to your tree, try our free trial. And it's like, motherfucker, I ain't paying more. I already paid $100 to get this shit. And now you want me to pay more to build on. It's great that y'all love genies and do the ology thing, but I'm not into genealogy. I don't want to go. I've got enough hobbies. I don't need another rabbit hole to jump
And I
down.
think for me, what I've thought about it, and I really think the reason that I got into it to begin with is because I felt so disconnected from my actual family. I thought if I look at the past, maybe I can have
Right.
more connections.
Yeah.
If that makes sense,
Right.
like
No.
like feel connected to something, and not just nothing at all, or and that's kind of why I think I got into it in the first place.
Right.
So
This has really been very interesting. That's a convoluted mess.
it is,
basically.
and what makes it weird, I mean, really weird. Like I think I told you the other day, my dad was 50 when I was born. His dad was 50 when he was born. His dad was 50 when he was born.
Oh.
And his dad was 50 when he was born.
And how old are you now?
I'm 51 almost.
Oh, did you
Yeah.
have a baby?
No.
You broke the fucking chain.
Yeah, I did. I broke. My wife said absolutely not. We actually we adopted our grandkids from our oldest son. So we are.
You got your hands full.
Yeah, we got an 8 and a 9-year-old, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't imagine if. Yeah, we broke that tradition hard.
Right, right.
Yeah,
An
yeah,
infant is a lot different than 8 or 9. Not that 8 and 9 is not a handful, because it is, but yeah.
yeah.
Starting over at 50 with a baby and the nights.
Man, it's like having a
no
puppy
sleep.
that
Oh,
you
yeah.
can't leave in the basement
Yeah.
when you leave the house.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
I mean, you can't.
I'm just, yeah.
But people look at you funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird. Like my grandfather was actually born in 1873, which is
wow.
kind of crazy.
Yeah,
Like
100 years.
Yeah, I mean,
100 years before you were born.
he worked for Norfolk and Western 1890 through 1905. I
So
mean,
he helped
yeah.
lay the tracks.
Well, he rode the trains. He was like a security officer
Okay.
because
It makes you
Passenger
wonder if the
train.
first time he got laid was at 50 and he had a kid.
no,
He's
no,
on that
my
train.
my dad was the youngest
Laying
of
track.
He's like,
of 13.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
I was the youngest of 13. So
yeah, that's back in the day when they were having 10,
They didn't
12,
have
15
phones.
kids.
you needed farm hands, is what you needed.
Right,
Is
that's
you
what
know
they
that's
did it for, yeah.
And
Yeah.
You needed something to do. You didn't have
Yeah.
a phone to look
They were
at.
like,
no.
Well,
We've got
Mary,
this
let's
garden
go.
to plow and-
I got Mary to plow.
That's my grandma's name.
I mean,
Of course
the
it is.
chances were pretty good.
No, yeah, everybody is named Mary.
There's
I mean, for real, yeah. So, yeah, so there's a lot going on in my family. I mean,
I think
it's
there's a lot of
weird.
families, whether they want to admit it or not.
I think a lot of people don't want to talk about it
Yeah.
because they're embarrassed, and I'm like, I'm not embarrassed because I didn't do it.
You didn't do it,
and
right.
even if I did, I think you should own what you do.
Sure.
And good, bad, or indifferent, you own everything you do. I don't feel responsible in any way for anything my family did. Or
Obviously not. I don't understand the idea of not wanting to get to know people who are your family.
Yeah.
If for no other reason, you might need a kidney someday.
Right.
Yeah.
The more
Or you
people
might
that...
I like to find out about them and then go, oh, I don't like them.
Yeah.
I don't never have to see them again.
Then you can feel superior to them.
Yeah.
There's no downside
Yeah.
to getting to meet these family that come up.
But you might have a good connection,
Yeah.
Like us. Yeah. I just met him in this
I mean, like with my sisters, like I said, I've only met them one once and the other one twice in my life. So there's a whole line of nieces and nephews who don't have really any knowledge of or anything.
Right.
So,
Right.
it's kind of selfish, I mean, in a way. Like,
It
and to
is.
hold a grudge, it's
Yeah.
just ridiculous.
I can hold a grudge against the person I'm mad at. I'm not going to hold the grudge against people ancillary to them.
Yeah.
They have nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
That's-
Yeah.
exactly.
Are you holding grudges?
Against you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Just curious.
You don't seem like you don't.
I would hold a grudge away from you and hang it over your head.
Yeah,
Come on,
yeah.
jump,
Yeah.
get it. I'm not going to hold a grudge against you. I'm going to keep it way over there.
You don't seem like you would hold a grudge.
No, I'll get super pissed. And it takes a lot to get me super pissed. But I'll get super pissed at people. And then an hour later, I'll go drink a beer with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just not that big a deal anymore.
Yeah.
And I get that big emotion, get it out of the way, and then fuck it. Let's just go on. And we've had some of those. I mean,
Yeah.
we've had times where we've gotten on each other's nerves and in email or text
Yeah.
said some pretty unnice things. And then, 15
Probably
minutes
mostly
later,
fun,
so what are y'all
yeah.
doing this weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Mostly her,
cool.
yes.
Yeah.
Definitely mostly
I'm
her.
milder in my older age. So.
I mean, that's
When? When is that going to start?
that's
I mean, you're old enough. I say that as the older of the.
Uh-huh.
As always,
he
I'm
thought
the
he was the
oldest in the
baby,
room.
but
Yeah,
no.
I grew up as the baby in the family. I
So
have
see,
two
I took
older
that away from
sisters.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
He holds that grudge. There's a grudge going. I found one.
Most of my first cousins are in their 70s or 80s.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm more closely related to my second or third cousins,
Yeah.
really,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of weird with the generational gap. Like I'm a half a step off from everybody, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
I guess that's another reason I always felt disconnected with everybody, because they were either older than me or they were younger than me. It's
Yeah.
like, I don't let it bother me. I don't.
There's only so much you can't
You
force
can't.
yourself
You
on
can't.
people.
No,
you
There's only
can't.
so much you can do, and it's just like if you don't want to have a relationship, that sucks. But it's time to move on.
And you like in your life, you make friends that you're closer to than family sometimes.
Oh yeah.
And people are people regardless of whether you have shared DNA or not. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody's an individual and they have their own likes and dislikes, and you really can't force a relationship if it's not
Right.
going to be there. That's one thing I've definitely learned through all of this.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, at least you're taking some of that with you, where you can just let it go, or they can move on, and
Yeah.
you can move
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's miraculously they had a change of heart and came and said, "Hey, we do want to have a relationship with you. Would you be willing to do that?"
Yeah. I think that in my old age, I've become a lot more forgiving and a lot more, I wouldn't say easier to get along with, but more flexible, I think,
Yeah.
and so, to some degree.
Yeah.
At the same time, like in this day and age, if you stand up for yourself and you don't let people walk all over you, people have a problem with you. It's so double-sided.
Or to judge before knowing that
Oh, yeah.
you as a person. Or,
So those human dynamics are just there regardless of whether you're related or not.
yeah, that's the truth.
Yeah. On that note,
Excuse
Robert, thanks for coming by and
appreciate it.
spending some time with us, and fascinating story.
Yeah, I've enjoyed this.
Yeah,
Kind of
We
fun.
might have to have have you on again later.
Yeah, we can talk about, who was it, Ricky?
My brother Rick. Yeah,
Chicago Rick.
That's-
Chicago-
my fault.
yeah.
Chicago Rick.
That's a lot.
We'll,
There's
call
like
it-
a
we'll
gangster.
we'll use a code name for him, something like, I don't know, Pickle Rick.
There you go.
there's a lot there. There is a lot there. Yeah. Yep.
Maybe
All
we'll go
right.
to Chicago.
Yep.
Honeydale.
Well, thanks for coming.
I
and-
appreciate it.
That's all we have for you this time.
We want to hear your stories, especially those of you who have siblings you've discovered later in life, like us.
Send email to linnellandrob@gmail.com. That email address will appear in the podcast episode's description, and we'll read all your emails over the air.